Hey YouTube, Devin here with Comics and Stuff. Welcome back. Happy Friday. Hope everybody is doing all right. Like I said last week, coming up with the new year, I'm going to be starting a new playlist. The playlist is called DC Niche. Like I always say, I am a DC guy. I've always been a DC guy. Marvel, not so much. I do have a few favorites from Marvel, but if you guys want to see that, you can go look at my top 5 favorite Marvel superheroes video. Actually, I think I did a top 3. It should be somewhere in my videos, and then I'll be replacing it with the top 5 coming up here in a couple weeks. But this is the first video in DC Niche, and basically the whole point of this playlist is I'm going to be pointing out and talking about and introducing you guys to characters who have, never really been popular, or characters that are that you might not know about, characters that only have a few appearances in different storylines. For example, for this episode, I'm going to be having an example character for each episode. This episode's character example is Superman. Superman has had over 3,300 different story arcs since 1938. He has appeared in over 3,300 story arcs. These characters, I'm trying to keep less than 200 over the last, 80 years or whatever that DC has been around. So this episode is going to be about romance characters. I bet a couple of you guys didn't even know that DC did romance characters, but they did. All throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they also had a lot of romance comics. So I'm going to introduce you to some of these characters. I personally love DC romance comics. They are great short stories, really dramatic, and really quite interesting to read how romance was perceived at the time. Generally speaking, comic books reflect the times, and so it was interesting to see them go from 1950s romance to groovy 1970s. It was interesting. So without further ado, we'll get right into this. I'm going to be telling you about 6 romance characters that you've never heard of. So the first one, which is one of my favorite, was Bonnie Taylor, airline stewardess. So Bonnie Taylor first appeared in Young Romance 126. If you guys follow me on Instagram, that is like one of my holy grails of comics. I just got it, and I actually sent it off to get signed by John Romita Sr. He was the artist and cover artist for that particular story. And basically, Bonnie Taylor, she had 11 appearances. 13 appearances in the Young Romance series, and she basically was Bonnie Taylor, airline, flight attendant, flight stewardess, flying in and out of romantic adventures. It was just really interesting. She went all over the world and met men, and I guess back in the day that was considered great writing, and I really liked the story, but I feel like 13 issues about a woman going to meet 13 different guys, it's gonna... But I digress. Anyhow, moving on to the next one. So now we have the life and loves of Lisa St. Clair. So Lisa St. Clair, her character, she is a tall, elegant, blonde, beautiful young woman who has a rich father, so she lives a very rich, lavish life. And she unfortunately cannot seem to get along with her father for the majority of her series. She ends up, getting with rich guys, running away, meeting a poor guy, and then she doesn't want to be with him because she's wronged him by not telling him who she was. Great romance drama. She had 10 appearances in the Young Love series, and she first appeared in Young Love number 68. So there's that. Melanie Winters, so her story is called 1,000 Miles to Heartbreak. So she crossed series. She first appeared in Young Love in issue number 78. So just about 10 issues after Lisa, or she appeared in the last issue of Lisa St. Clair's story. And then she was there for 2 issues and then moved over to Secret Hearts, where she appeared in Secret Hearts number 141 and then went to 142. So 1,000 Miles to Heartbreak, she gets on a motorcycle with the guy, and she has to figure out who she is and what she wants, and she goes on and does her thing. And I mean, I hope you guys are enjoying these covers. Some of these covers, in my opinion, are great. They're classic romance. I love that they're very well drawn. They're very evident of the time. So in any case, next we have 3 girls, their lives, their loves. So it's 3 girls, and they actually ran for quite some time. They ran for 22 issues of Heartthrobs. They first appeared in Heartthrobs number 102. Yes, 102. and it's a story about three girls, and there's a guy named Greg. I haven't read their whole story, but I know that they regularly fight over him, and then there's other guys that kind of come in. Love triangles are created, and in the end, it's which one is going to be with Greg and which one is tossed out on the street, and it's kind of like they're best friends, but they're all after the same guy. So that's interesting. Next, we have Mary Robin, Registered Nurse. So Mary Robin, she first appeared in Young Love number 39, one of the earliest appearances here. Not as early as Amy Ames, but I don't actually have Amy Ames on this list. I'll talk about her in a second. But she appeared in Young Love number 39, so that's a really low issue count. That's pretty early on. And she basically just consistently either fell in love with her patients or doctors. And a lot of, I guess the thing I found interesting about Mary Robin was a lot of the things that happened to her were not her fault. Patients would wake up from a coma or with amnesia, or they would be blind and they would get her voice confused, or they would think that she's their wife or something like that. So she keeps getting pulled into these weird situations that are totally not her fault. So there's that. Next is one of my other favorites, April ODay, Hollywood starlet. So April ODay, she is this cute little short blonde girl. She is working in Hollywood. She's trying to make it as an actress, and her character, if you look at the way she's drawn, she's absolutely gorgeous. She doesn't think very highly of herself. She wants to do well for herself, and she meets a guy that she wants to be with, but he's stolen by another actress, and her whole story is kind of finding out who she is and making it in Hollywood and all that. So April ODay, she first appeared in Girls Love Stories number 104, and she stayed in that series for 11 issues, so decent run. And then finally we come to Karen. She doesn't have a last name. There's no special profession. She was just Karen, and she appeared in Secret Hearts number 110, and this is the longest running one. She had 29 issues in Secret Hearts. Her story was Reach for Happiness, and it was like a soap opera. There was her sister's husband, her ex-husband, and a bunch of other people, and it ran for 20. I mean, think about that. That's over 2 years. If each issue is released monthly. So I'm just saying that's a long time for a story to be to run 29 episodes. So just Karen. And I have her first appearance. I haven't really read into it, so I don't know I don't know a whole lot. There's a couple other characters I can mention, like Amy Ames. She was the columnist for the Listening Heart, so sometimes the stories would be about her and her love life, and then some stories would be about other people that sent in their stories to her, and it's just really interesting. But in any case, those are 6 romance characters. Well, counting Amy Ames, that's 6.5. So those are 6.5 romance characters that you've never heard of in my new playlist, DC Niche. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys are curious or have any recommendations for another genre, please put it in the comments below. Share, tell your friends about this, talk about this. Romance comics are great. I collect them. I actually just picked this up the other day. Well, I bought this and sent it off for grading. This is my Young Romance number 150. It's a classic cover that's been used in a lot of like Roy Lichtenstein and Andy Warhol art. And it's a classic cover in my appearance, and it's one of only 2 on CGC's census. So it's a great book. These are awesome. But in any case, you guys, that's it. So thank you so much, and I will see you next Friday.